All right, strap in everybody, because today we're going deep, deep into the world of modern dating.
Oh, buckle up. That's right.
And, to do that, we're going to be looking at one very specific case study.
Sounds juicy.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is. It comes from the late Kevin Samuels YouTube channel.
Ah, Kevin Samuels. I think a lot of our listeners are probably familiar with him and his very uh, provocative style.
Provocative is a good word for it.
Yeah, and controversial.
Yeah, he was a relationship advisor, image consultant.
Huge following.
Huge following, yeah,
Yeah.
particularly among Black men.
Definitely tapped into something, regardless of whether you love him or hated him.
Right, right.
Got people talking.
For sure. And his videos were really, they were like these relationship diagnostics, right?
Yeah.
Like he would have women on and he would kind of give them the hard truth about, what they were doing right, what they were doing wrong in their dating lives.
It was always very blunt. Yeah.
Very blunt, very direct.
Very direct.
Sometimes brutal, sparked a lot of debate.
Oh, absolutely.
But the video we're looking at today, I think, is a prime example of some of the themes that he really hit on.
Okay. Yeah.
And it features a 36-year-old woman who goes on his show, and she's looking for advice on finding a husband.
All right, 36, looking for a husband. That's not that unusual.
Not unusual at all, but here's the thing. She's not just looking for any husband. She's got some very specific criteria.
Okay, like what?
Buckle up for this one. She's looking for a husband who earns at least $650,000 a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's aiming high.
Aiming very high,
Yeah.
very high.
High earner. Okay.
And the conversation, well, it gets pretty intense, as you can imagine.
I imagine.
But I think it really brings up some really interesting questions, about income expectations in dating,
Sure.
about the role of lifestyle goals, about, how we present ourselves to attract a partner,
Yeah, absolutely.
especially when we have these very specific ideals in mind.
I mean, it's like this thing we see in society all the time, this pressure to have it all,
Right,
particularly for women.
right.
Like, you got to have the amazing career and the perfect relationship, and it's like,
And the kids and the house and the lifestyle.
that's the bar so high.
It does.
Yeah.
So let's actually break down what this woman wants, okay? She lays it all out for Kevin Samuels. She wants marriage. She wants 2 to 3 kids.
Okay.
She wants to live this luxurious lifestyle in Los Angeles.
Oh, right. Who doesn't?
I know, right?
L.A., the dream.
But here's the kicker. She wants a husband who's bringing in that $650,000 or more, and she's only planning on contributing about 10% to the family finances.
Oh, wow.
So right off the bat, Kevin Samuels, he hits her with a dose of reality.
Yeah, I bet.
He's like, look, men earning that much, they're incredibly rare.
Yeah, statistically, that's a very, very small pool.
Tiny, tiny fraction of the population.
Right. So already her options are limited.
Yeah, extremely limited.
But, it's interesting because she talks a lot about, focusing on personal development.
Yeah.
And she's clearly ambitious in her own right.
Right, right.
But she seems lost on how to actually attract that kind of high-earning man.
Yeah, she doesn't quite get the marketing piece, right?
Exactly.
So that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, so Samuels kind of lays it out there, right? He's like, look, there's a disconnect between what you want in a partner and what those high-earning men are actually looking for.
Okay, interesting.
He says they often prefer, more traditional housewives, women who are focused on the home.
Right, creating that stability, that comfortable lifestyle.
Right.
Okay, so not necessarily looking for a power couple.
No, not so much the power couple dynamic.
Okay.
And he even uses this phrase, it's pretty provocative. He says what she's offering is essentially a luxury womb.
Whoa. Okay, let's unpack that.
It's a strong statement.
Luxury womb, meaning she's providing the kids the comfortable lifestyle. But
Right, but not necessarily, bringing a lot to the table financially or career-wise.
okay, so he's saying there's a transactional element to this.
Yeah, and I think it forces us to look at, how some people approach relationships.
Right, the underlying dynamics.
Exactly.
Fascinating.
Now, to add another layer to this, she mentions that she has a sociology degree, used to make 6 figures in finance.
Okay, so she's not, coming from nothing.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But she's currently working in network marketing, specifically with Primerica.
Okay, so there's a bit of a gap there
There's a gap, right?
between her past success and where she is now.
And Samuels picks up on this.
Yeah, what does he say?
He suggests that she might be dealing with some imposter syndrome.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, have you ever heard of that term?
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's that feeling like you're not as successful as you appear.
Right, like you're a fraud even when you've accomplished a lot.
Exactly, and you're constantly afraid of being exposed.
Right, and I think for her, it's like she might be projecting this image of affluence that doesn't quite match up with her current reality.
Right, so she's maybe putting on a facade.
And facades, they can be a problem when you're trying to connect authentically, right?
Absolutely.
It's not genuine.
Yeah, not genuine.
And it's not just about money either.
Oh, okay.
She mentions this past relationship with a truck driver
Okay, so a blue-collar guy.
who was actually intimidated by her looks and lifestyle.
Whoa, that's interesting.
Right, it's like a complete flip.
So it's not just about finding a high earner, there's other compatibility issues at play.
Exactly. And it makes you think about, those potential mismatches when people come from different socioeconomic backgrounds.
Right, different values, different priorities, maybe even different ways of communicating.
Absolutely.
And those mismatches, they can really create friction in relationship.
Yeah, they can lead to a lack of compatibility.
Okay, so it sounds like her desire for this high-earning partner might be creating some blind spots.
I think so, yeah.
Like she's overlooking potential matches because they don't fit this very specific financial mold.
Yeah, and Samuels, he really hones in on her spending habits.
Oh, interesting.
And he questions whether she can actually afford the lifestyle she's projecting.
Okay, so he's calling her out a little bit.
Yeah, he's like, look, are you being honest with yourself?
And he ties it back to her search for a high-earning husband. Right?
Right, it's like he's saying, is this about finding love? Or is this about finding a financial solution?
It makes you think about that sunk cost fallacy,
Ooh, that's a good one.
Like when we stick with something, even if it's not working, just because we've already invested so much.
Right, and in this case, she's so invested in this vision of having a wealthy husband.
That she's maybe not seeing other possibilities.
Right, and she might be missing out on genuine connection with someone who's actually a better fit.
Right, because they don't meet that financial criteria.
It's like she's so focused on the destination, she's not paying attention to the journey. Yeah.
Or who she might meet along the way. That's powerful.
And to drive his point home, Samuels brings up a really heavy example.
What's that?
He talks about the suicide of a successful Black lawyer.
Wow. Okay.
Who seemingly had it all. Wealth, career, success, everything.
Right, like the picture of success.
But it ultimately wasn't enough, right?
And it highlights that point that, outward achievements don't always equal happiness.
Right, they don't equal fulfillment.
Yeah, and sometimes chasing those external markers.
Can lead to burnout, loneliness.
That emptiness, yeah.
And I think we see that a lot, especially with, people who prioritize their careers above everything else.
It's that pressure to have it all, that we were talking about earlier.
It comes back full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does he tell her to do?
Well, he suggests something pretty radical.
I'm intrigued.
He tells her that she should actually consider looking for a partner who's more aligned with her current income level.
Wow. Okay, so not the high earner.
No, not the $650,000 man.
Interesting. So is he saying settle?
That's the question, right? Is it settling or is it being realistic?
Yeah, it's a fine line.
He actually throws out some numbers.
Oh, really?
He suggests she maybe looks for someone in tech, accounting, making, $60,000 to $85,000.
Okay, so more on her level.
Right, and it's not about lowering your standards.
What is it about then?
It's about prioritizing compatibility and shared values.
Okay, so finding someone who you truly connect with.
Who you can build a life with, who you share the same goals with.
And sometimes that might mean letting go of those financial expectations.
Right. Because ultimately, money doesn't buy happiness. And it definitely doesn't buy love.
That's true.
Right.
Okay, so is that it? Is that all the advice he gives her?
No, he has one more really important piece of advice, and this is, I think, the crux of it all.
Okay, I'm listening.
He tells her to focus on building a fulfilling life regardless of her relationship status.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, it's about finding happiness and contentment within herself.
Not seeking it from someone else. Okay, I like that. It's about creating a life that you love, regardless of whether you're single, dating, or married.
He uses this really striking analogy, right?
Oh, does he? What is it?
He compares her mindset to a degenerate gambler.
A degenerate gambler.
Yeah.
And it all ties back to that sunk cost fallacy we were talking about. You know?
Right.
She's so invested in this vision of finding this wealthy husband that she's ignoring reality.
And maybe even missing out on real connection.
Exactly.
Because she's so focused on that one outcome.
So Samuel's basically saying, you're at the roulette table.
Okay.
You keep pouring chips into this losing bet.
Yeah. You're down, but you just keep going.
Just because you've already invested so much, right?
Hoping to win it back.
But sometimes, walking away from the table
Yeah, cutting your losses.
is the smartest move.
That's hard, though.
It is hard.
Especially when you're already so invested.
Especially when you're bombarded with all these messages, right?
Right. Telling you that you need financial success, you need the perfect partner, you need all these things to be happy.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Social media, magazines, you name it.
What if real success is about defining things on your own terms?
Yeah, what if it's about, embracing who you are, where you are,
and finding contentment in the journey itself?
not just the destination.
Right. Relationship or no relationship?
I love that.
It's a really powerful question, right?
It is.
Because it challenges us to look at those societal expectations.
And decide if they're actually serving us.
Yeah, are they helping us or are they hindering us?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's interesting because even though this example we're looking at is very specific, right?
Yeah, it's one woman's story.
One woman, heterosexual dynamic.
But the themes are universal.
They're universal, right?
Self-worth, societal expectations, finding genuine connection.
Those are things that we all grapple with.
No matter who you are, who you love.
We all have the power to create our own paths to happiness.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious, what do you think, listener?
Yeah, have you ever felt that pressure,
To achieve a certain level of success, to find a partner who fits a certain mold.
Have you ever let those expectations dictate your choices?
Because at the end of the day, you have the power to define your own path.
Don't let society write your story.
Create your own definition of what it means to live a successful and fulfilling life.
Now, I do want to point out, Samuels doesn't just leave this woman with a bunch of tough questions.
Oh, good.
He does offer some practical steps she can take
Oh, well, that's great.
to shift her mindset and start creating the life she wants.
Like what? What kind of steps?
Well, for starters, he really emphasizes building self-worth.
Okay, self-love, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He points out that she often seeks validation from external sources,
Okay.
like men, her career, even material possessions.
Right, looking outside herself for that sense of worth.
Yeah, and he's saying true confidence and happiness, they come from within.
You got to build that foundation yourself.
Right, it's an inside job.
And he also recommends, exploring her passions and interests outside of work and dating.
Okay, yeah, hobbies, creative outlets, things that bring her joy.
Yeah, and connecting with people who share those interests.
So building a life that feels rich and meaningful on its own.
Right, not depending on a partner to complete you or make you happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And lastly, he encourages her to challenge those limiting beliefs
Oh, yeah.
about what's possible for her, reminding her that she's capable of achieving anything she sets her mind to.
It's about taking ownership.
Right, not letting those past experiences or societal expectations hold you back.
That's powerful.
It is, and I think that's really the heart of Samuel's message. It's
Yeah.
not just about dating advice. It's about encouraging people to take a deeper look at themselves
At their values, at their aspirations.
and create a life they truly love, regardless of their relationship status.
It's a message that resonates, I think, no matter where you are in life.
Absolutely, whether you're single, dating, or married.
One thing that really struck me about this video is how much Samuels emphasizes emotional well-being.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's not just about, finding the right person, achieving certain goals.
That's about taking care of yourself.
He's really encouraging this woman to prioritize her mental and emotional health.
And that's so important,
Yeah.
We don't talk about that enough.
No, we don't.
In the context of relationships, it's so easy to get caught up in the excitement.
Of finding someone, building a future,
But we forget to check in with ourselves.
make sure we're taking care of our own well-being
It's like putting on your own oxygen mask first.
before assisting others.
Right, you can't pour from an empty cup.
And I think that's what Samuels is highlighting here.
Yeah.
He's urging this woman and all of us really to cultivate self-love.
Practice self-care.
Prioritize our emotional well-being no matter what our relationship status is.
It's a message that resonates deeply,
It does.
with me too. And I think it's something our listeners can really benefit from.
Absolutely.
We talk so much about physical health these days,
Right. Eat your vegetables, exercise.
but emotional well-being is just as crucial.
Especially when it comes to building healthy relationships.
Yeah, it's the foundation.
It makes me think of that saying, you can't love someone else until you love yourself.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right.
It's true, and I think Samuels is advocating for that in his own way.
Yeah, he's encouraging people to embrace their worthiness,
Cultivate self-compassion.
prioritize their own happiness. And it brings up this really interesting question.
What's that?
How do we actually do that?
Yeah, how do we cultivate self-love?
How do we prioritize our emotional well-being?
especially in a world that often tells us to put others first.
It's a tough one.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Right. And it looks different for everyone.
Absolutely. But I think one of the most important steps is awareness
Awareness of what?
of our own needs and emotions.
Okay, so tuning into ourselves,
Yeah, paying attention to what we're feeling.
not just pushing it down or ignoring it.
And once we have that awareness, we can start making choices that support our well-being.
Okay, so what kinds of choices are we talking about?
Well, it could be setting boundaries in relationships,
Okay, making sure your needs are met.
practicing mindfulness,
Mm-hmm.
being present in the moment,
Engaging in activities that bring you joy.
or seeking professional support if you need it.
Therapy, coaching, things like that.
It's about creating a life that feels nourishing.
Emotionally and mentally supportive.
And when we do that, we're not only taking care of ourselves.
We're creating a stronger foundation for healthy relationships.
Exactly. It all comes back around.
This deep dive, I mean, it's really turning out to be so much more than just analyzing one YouTube video.
It is, right?
It sparked all these conversations about self-love, about emotional well-being.
And the power we have to create our own happiness.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm curious, what are some of the key takeaways you've gleaned from this conversation?
Well, for me, it's the importance of questioning our assumptions
Assumptions about what?
about what it means to be successful, to be fulfilled.
Okay, yeah.
We often get caught up in chasing those external markers.
Money, status, the perfect partner,
But true happiness often comes from within.
cultivating that inner peace, purpose, connection.
Right. It's not about what you have, it's about how you feel.
I love that. What about you? What's really resonated with you? For me, it's definitely the importance of prioritizing emotional well-being.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle,
Right. The daily grind.
achieving goals, finding that special someone.
But you got to take care of yourself along the way.
Yeah, nurture your emotional health, create a life that feels supportive.
Absolutely. Your emotional well-being, it's just as important as your physical health.
It's the foundation for everything.
And speaking of relationships,
Yes.
another key takeaway is that we need to be whole and complete within ourselves.
Before we can truly connect with someone else,
Yeah, coming to a relationship from a place of wholeness
not seeking someone to fill a void.
to complete you.
We are already enough just as we are.
And when we embrace that,
We can approach relationships with so much more freedom.
authenticity, allowing love to flow naturally.
Not forcing it, not trying to fit into some mold.
Exactly. Love as an expression of our wholeness, not a desperate search for something we lack.
Beautiful. I love that.
That's a great message.
And on that note, I think we're going to take a quick pause.
All right.
We'll be right back for the final part of our deep dive,
Looking forward to it.
where we'll explore some practical tips for cultivating self-love, setting healthy boundaries,
And creating a life that feels truly fulfilling.
with or without a romantic partner. All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. We're going to pick up right where we left off, continuing our deep dive into modern dating and relationships.
And we've covered a lot of ground already, from high-earning husband expectations to the sunk cost fallacy.
We've even talked about degenerate gamblers.
We have, haven't we? And emotional well-being.
You know, what I find so fascinating about this whole Kevin Samuels case study is that it really forces us to think about the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
It's not just about finding a partner.
It's about so much more.
It's about understanding ourselves, our values, what truly matters.
It's like he's holding up a mirror to society in a way,
Yeah, and sometimes that reflection can be a little uncomfortable.
especially when it challenges our beliefs about success and happiness.
You know, we're so conditioned to chase those external markers, the money, the status.
A perfect partner, the picture-perfect life.
But what Samuels is saying is, hey, maybe that's not the path to true fulfillment.
Maybe it's about finding that contentment within,
Yeah, creating a life that feels authentic and meaningful to you.
regardless of your relationship status or your income level.
I mean, think about it. What if real happiness comes from pursuing your passions?
Building genuine connections,
Yeah.
contributing to something bigger than yourself.
Those are things that we can cultivate on our own, you know?
We don't need a partner or a six-figure salary to do that.
And that's empowering
It is.
because it means we have more control over our own happiness than we might think.
We're not just victims of circumstance. We have agency.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final question to ponder.
Okay, hit us with it.
How do you define success in relationships?
That's a big one.
It is, right? Is it about finding someone who matches your income?
Who fits into your lifestyle aspirations?
Or is it about something deeper?
Shared values, emotional intimacy, that kind of thing.
Because at the end of the day, those are the things that truly nourish us.
The things that make a relationship meaningful and lasting.
So challenge yourself, listener. Think about what truly matters to you.
Don't let society dictate your definition of success.
Create your own path, one that feels authentic and fulfilling.
And remember, the journey to love and happiness, it's not always a straight line.
There are going to be twists and turns, ups and downs.
But as long as you stay true to yourself
and prioritize your own well-being,
you'll find your way.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
Take care.